Good afternoon. I'm glad you guys could make it this afternoon. I'm Susan Clark. You've been on my list for probably some of you for a really, really long time and some of you more recently. I have been an ACT certified consultant for well over 20 years. And a couple years ago, we looked at doing something else. And so I really wanted to talk to you about what I think are what's going on in the market. I'd like to keep this to 30 minutes. I really want to kind of honor your time with that. We have quite a few on the call, so I will keep everyone on mute, but you're welcome to enter any questions. There's a chat log or a question log on your screen that you can pull up and answer questions. Ginger's on the call with me, so she's going to help me answer some of the questions. But when you're ready, you can minimize it as well, so to keep it out of the way so you can see the screen and just pop it back up if you think of a question. I'll try to answer them as we go along, but if not, I'll try and get to them by the end of the webinar, and those of you that would like to drop off can do so. We've been using ACT since 1987, if you can imagine. We actually started with the version 2 for DOS. In 1997, 10 years later, Scott and I were certified at the same time. I don't know if any of you've met Scott, but he's been doing this for about as long as I have. And then Ginger was certified a few years later after that. Most summers I spent writing a new ACT quick study guide. That was one of the things that I always did. I wrote actually 12 of them to let people know or help people learn more how to use their ACT software. They still sell on Amazon and on our site, and you can also get them from ACT directly. And I actually wrote one for SwiftPage in particular for their drip marketing software that they use. And of course, I have done some sending of tips, although I haven't sent you a lot of tips in a long time. And what I see is that a couple of years ago, I think everything started to change, and I'm not sure if it was the iPad or smartphones or maybe the rise in popularity of Macs. I've been stunned at how fast the tablet market has grown. I've really actually been shocked. But as a result, I think it's changed a lot of things. The first thing is that we've become kind of addicted to the instant on feature. You can actually take one of these devices, particularly a Chromebook, which is one of the ones I have as well, I love. You can just turn on the power and instantly you're on. There's no waiting for the machine to boot up or to load all of the software. In addition to that, the apps that are made for the mobile market are like darn cheap. And it's actually put a lot of downward pressure on a lot of the desktop software pricing models. So it's made a big difference on what's out there and what's being developed for the market. I thought this was really good. This is actually a fairly recent report by Gartner Research. They're reporting that tablets now this year will outsell traditional PCs. And you can see, look at the difference of what's coming up in 2018. It's a huge market of people that are moving away from the traditional PC model and going to more of a web-based. And look what happens if you add mobile phones to the list. You can see what kind of trend we have for teams of users who will access just our businesses outside of the office. We've got people who travel, people who work in remote locations or from their home, people who would rather work than have a life. I'm not sure. There's just a lot of ways now that people could get to the web, and so as a result, people are more interested in it. Right now, we estimate that 86% of all connected devices are outside of the office. So that's a lot of ways that people could be able to get to their work if they were able to, but maybe not. And because a lot of those, unless you happen to have a Microsoft Windows mobile device, you're no longer tied to Microsoft. I've been in the business for a long time, and I don't know if you remember the days of WordPerfect and Lotus, where people thought those softwares would never go away. They could never possibly lose market share. And yet, I know really no businesses that are using either of these products now. They're all using Microsoft. Microsoft is awfully slow to respond to some of these recent market changes. And I truly can see a day when the market will not be there for Microsoft. I mean, I'm not sure what exactly, how we'll move it, but I can see where there'll be a day when Microsoft will not have near the market share that they currently have. Because primarily we want access to our software and our files, and so we want access across all of our devices, no matter what we're using. We want that ability to get to everything, and the cloud or the web is what gives us that access. So that's in particular what I wanted to talk to you about. If you do want an on-premise option, Act is still a really, really good option for you. They do have a web-based version. The mobile version is pretty quick, but the complete version is that they have that they can host for you on the web is not as quick as I'd like for it to be. They also have a new web version that they have built from the ground up. Currently it only has one user. It's only available for a single user, and it has some limited capabilities like no opportunities and things like that. I think they're going in the right direction, but I needed to have some options that were available for people who wanted to really move along faster and farther. There was a time when the internet went down, it was a big thing, and I do have some people still say, well, isn't that a real questionable problem? And the answer is, I don't think so anymore. A few months ago, our internet went down, no problems, because all I did was just get out my phone and I was still in business. There's hardly a grocery store or a coffee shop in America that doesn't have free wireless anymore. So it's so easy for, even if the internet were to go down for a short period of time, you have pretty good access, no matter how you want to get it. And, there was a while back there where I was talking to a lot of clients that had hard drive failures. Once you have a hard drive failure, you have to reinstall everything, which is so darn painful. Setting up the links, installing the software, and not only that, but you've got the problem of loss of a PC at the airport terminals, or they get stolen from a car or whatever. And all of these things, cause you a lot of downtime. Or when you upgrade one software, then that kind of causes you to maybe have to get a newer PC because you need more RAM and more speed, and then that means you have to go to Windows 8, and then that means you have to get the Microsoft upgraded suite, and of course then your Act doesn't work with the newer stuff, so it means that you have to upgrade to Act as well. I guess really in any kind of web-based software, desktop-based software, you've got these problems that I just kind of needed to deal with. I don't like install issues. I got tired of error messages. I got tired of databases that weren't syncing for reasons that were probably not even Act's fault. They had to do with Windows and .NET and SQL and all kinds of errors, and everything was just not playing nice. Not to mention there were very limited solutions for tablets and phones and Macs, because even the web-based version that they have for Act doesn't work on all browsers, so it was a problem. So a couple of years ago, we looked at this product called Zoho. It's kind of like small office, home office, but with a Z for Zoho. We loved it so much that we switched our 20-plus year Act database to Zoho. We migrated everything with using special tools. We got all the contacts, all the companies, notes, and histories, and opportunities, and attachments even, and pretty much everything, and really easily got it into Zoho. I mean, if you didn't want to go to Zoho and you wanted to go something else like Salesforce, we can get the data out of Act so you could move there. But Zoho is like a direct competitor to Salesforce.com, and here's the thing, it's at least a third of the price, and depending on the version could be as cheap as a fourth of the price of Salesforce, and does practically exactly the same thing. So why do I like them? I didn't make this decision lightly, as you might imagine. I had been very loyal to one software for a lot of years and had used it pretty much exclusively. So this wasn't an easy decision, but when we looked at Zoho, there were a lot of really great things going in its favor. They are not a newcomer, even though you may not have heard from them. They've been around since 1997, so they've been in business over 18 years. They have offices in Pleasanton, California, which is outside of San Francisco, but they also have offices in Austin, Texas, and Japan, and China, and Chennai, India. This last year, they passed the 13 million mark for subscribers of their services. You might want to compare that to Axe 4 million. So it's a huge company with a lot of things to make it interesting. It is still privately held, which I think allows them to be more committed to users. They don't have to look at, short-term quarterly gains and providing profits. They really are, I think, looking at the long term. I'm so impressed with the management team and the leadership of the company that is really focused on developing software for small to medium-sized businesses. They have right now the largest R&D team in the industry. They're focused exclusively on software in the cloud. There is no on-premise software available. They have kind of their mobile version does have the capability to be offline if it's on your phone, but most of their stuff is strictly focused on software in the cloud. And right now, the really interesting thing is it's a very profitable company. That's not true for some of the other softwares out there. A lot of people talk about how great Salesforce is and how fast they're growing. I don't know if you realize they are growing at a great rate, but they are still every quarter losing money. Zoho has a commitment to their people. That's another reason I liked them. Their product managers are promoted from within. They have a tenure of about an average of 8 years in their upper management team. They actually even have their own university. They didn't like the quality of the students that were coming out, so they started their own university, and they get really smart kids, and they give them a stipend while they're there. And as a result, when these kids graduate, they pretty much stay with Zoho, and they are really loyal to the company. They have 3,300 servers across the United States. They've got 70% are in California and 30% are in New York. Right now, they're all in the United States, although they will be adding some servers in other areas of the world. So that's who Zoho is, but I know that a lot of you, I've particularly targeted people that I thought were ACT users that might be interested in moving. So I thought you might like to look to see how it compares with Zoho. If you kind of keep in mind that it's just words and location of where things are, it's really not that much different. This would be what your ACT toolbar would look like on the left. This is what a Zoho toolbar looks like, or a menu bar that it goes across the top. You can see that, there's a contacts module, and there is a groups area, like that's a contacts with, you can see that it's pointing to a group called contacts with email. There is companies, but it's just that Zoho calls them accounts. They have a calendar, they have a task list, they have opportunities, but Zoho calls them potentials. They have reports and dashboards. You can see that it's just very similar kinds of features. They're just moved around a little bit and have slightly different wording. But the really nice thing is that you can rename or rearrange or hide any menu item, and you can do it yourself. You don't need me to do it. It's very, very easy to accomplish. Visually, this is kind of what it looks like. If you look at, these are two of the same records inside of the two different softwares. On the left, of course, is the favorite ACT. One of it has this beautiful 3-column layout. You could arrange things any way you wanted. It was very, very nice in how you could tighten things up and arrange it. In Zoho, you really just have a 2-column view. That's all you've got. You don't have an option. You can arrange the fields in any way and group them together, but it is more a vertical view of your data. This is what's up at the top of the area. Up here at the very top, you can see what they call the business card area, which is things that you might want to know about how to get in touch with somebody. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. Now, at the left, ACT has the tabs across the bottom where you can click on the History tab or the Notes tab. On the right, you see the Zoho view. You just scroll. It's just like a continuous scroll. So there aren't any tabs, but you can see the notes right there. And if you just continue to scroll down, you'll see the emails and the opportunities, and they're just kind of the equivalent of the different tabs that are there. Probably one of my favorite things that I like about Zoho is the saved list views. If you kind of think about it, it's like a group with selected columns, and you can just save as many of them as you want. So when I select a list view in Zoho, I can say, these are the columns I want, this is the criteria I want, and I don't want Ginger to see it. Just kidding, Ginger. But you can, and you can have as many list views as you like. It's like a combination of groups and columns in the same feature. They have reports and dashboards. Reports are a dream. They're so easy to create. Bad for me, you don't need to hire me to create them. Good for you. They are very, very easy to build. And you can create dashboards or these little graphical charts strictly off of the reports. And in addition to that, you can schedule it. So if you want to send a specific kind of performance report to somebody that's not really a Zoho user and you can send it weekly, it's easy to do. You can schedule to send it on a regular basis if you like. But building a report is very easy. You just say, here are the columns I want, here's the criteria I want, here's how I want to sort it, here's the things I want to sum. It works very, very well. If you are still dedicated to using Microsoft, although that was one of the first things I wanted to dump as soon as I got out of ACT, Zoho does work with Microsoft. You can see I put in a little drop-down box so you can see it not only works with 32 and 64-bit Outlook, but it also works with the Outlook for Mac if you need for it to. In addition, it will work with Microsoft Word, but again, I think there's some really neat options out there if you like. It will also connect to Gmail or Google Apps, and actually that is actually what we went to as soon as we got off of ACT is Google Apps. And I wanted to make sure you understand what Google Apps is. Gmail, of course, is the free version of Google. But there is a version called Google Apps, and they host our domain. So we used to host it with GoDaddy, but it could be you host it with an Exchange server, and you take your domain name and you give it to Google, and they charge you something like $50 per user per year. And then you get all of your email and your calendar and your contacts in Google. I really have liked using Google Apps quite a bit just because everything that comes out now, any new software that you're going to look at, they're all going to work with Google Apps. That'll be the first thing they'll work with before they work with anything like Outlook. So as you're looking and planning for going to the cloud, moving to Google is definitely something you should look at. Just even from the option of shared calendars, it's gorgeous the way that you can share calendars with each other. I can even share calendars with people outside of Cornerstone. For instance, my husband and I share a calendar, so he can see my calendar, I can see his, so it's easier for us to schedule or know what's going on at any given time. Zoho also has workflow, also known as smart tasks. They actually work. They have an amazing you can create automatic follow-up of activities. You know, if a field changes or a new record is created, you can automatically launch some things. When I change an expiration date on the company record, it updates all of the fields on all the contact records automatically. When I mark an opportunity as closed won, it can automatically update the ID status to customers on all the associated companies and contacts. I mean, everybody always forgets to update that field when you've sold something, but you can make it automatic. The feature is very nice. But here's the thing. Zoho is not just a CRM. It is so much more. And frankly, that's one of the reasons that I dropped my ACT certification, because keeping up with all of these products and really knowing them really well is a full-time job. I mean, if you can see, we're using the CRM. The Sales IQ is a feature that is on your website where you can tell who's been on your website, and they can ask you questions, and it automatically gets connected to the CRM. And Campaigns is kind of like Swift Page. Survey, you can send out a survey, and your clients can answer it, and the answers can come straight back into your CRM. Web forms, you can put web forms on your site, and immediately they'll automatically come into your CRM and send you a notice that they were added. You don't have to download it, don't have to do anything or click any buttons. It's just automatic. We actually this year switched, you can see the finance area, we switched to Books, which is equivalent to QuickBooks, and we switched over to Zoho Books. So now when I'm looking at a record in my CRM, I can see if they owe me money. I can see if it's a vendor, if I owe them money. I can start an invoice from the CRM and get it started, and then somebody has to approve it in the Books. But hey, that's okay. I've got access to the Books too, and I can approve my own invoices. But there's a lot of different features of fancy reports and Connect and projects. It's kind of like Microsoft projects. There is a huge amount of capability. You can really, truly run your business on Zoho. It really allows you to work anywhere, anytime. You can be on a tablet, on a smartphone, although I did have somebody this week ask if it worked on a BlackBerry, and that's probably the first time somebody stumped me in a while. It won't work on a BlackBerry, but it works on Windows devices, on Macs, pretty much anything else you can think of. It works on Chromebooks, and it's just really nice to have that instant access to whatever it is you need. Because it's web-based, you have no install issues. You're not installing. You just I just have a favorite on my list, and it automatically adds it to my desktop. There aren't any bugs. If there are bugs, and really and truly there have been bugs, we found them. They are fixed by Zoho. Usually, and when we reported one and they acknowledge it's a bug, it's fixed within 4 to 7 days, and it's fixed for everybody across the world at once. And usually all you have to do is log out and log back in, and you have immediately access. You just refresh your access to the database, and it's immediately available for everybody. So that works really nice. No syncing. Even on the mobile device, it's just that when you get in the area where you have web access, it automatically downloads whatever changes have been made. So that actually works pretty nice. And it's fast. I have a couple of clients with over 100 users. I have a couple of clients, one in particular that has about 800,000 records. It is lightning fast as far as looking up and finding things. It's really amazing. And I really like, they don't auto log you out during the day. They have started logging out people at night, but if you don't have any activity on in your browser window for like 2 hours or some amount of time, it's not going to automatically log you out, which is really annoying, I think, for salespeople. If you are interested in converting to Zoho, and you think that there might be some interest there, we would love to talk to you. Ginger and I would love to talk to you. We can help you take everything if you want to go. It's not a problem. I'd be glad to help you with anything. If you want to just look at it and start a trial, if you go to www.zcrmhelp.com, you can start a trial of the CRM. You can, I would say, play with the enterprise for a while, but it basically it's a never expiring trial. The enterprise version will expire and it'll take you back to the free version, but no matter what you do, it is a forever trial. You don't ever run out of time. It doesn't ever permanently lock you out. So it's actually really nice from that perspective. If you want to make an appointment with me to talk about it, This is probably my next favorite item. It's one of the only non-Zoho things I use right now, which is called appointlet.com. If you go to susanclark.appointlet.com, you can schedule, 30 minutes of time to talk with me, and I am glad to work with you or talk with you about whether it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I don't need for you to do it. But if you think it might make sense, I'm glad to talk to you. If you want to talk more about ACT and their web version, Ginger has been working with that quite a bit, and she has a trial account she can show you. She's glad to talk with you about that as well. You can export a list. Somebody asked about exporting to Excel. You can export the report. It'll take up to 2,000 records and it'll export. You can do lists and export. There are several ways to export, but it's really pretty easy. One of the nicest features is you can export to what Zoho calls Zoho Sheet, which is their Excel kind of software. And if you make changes on the sheet, then you click Save. It makes the changes back in the database. It's like awesome. It's so great to make fast changes to the database. Somebody asked if you could restrict access to certain features. The ability to restrict is very precise. It's like maybe 150 items of things that you can say they can do this, they can do that. They can't do this, but they could do that. They can see this, they can see this field, but they can't edit it. I mean, there's all different kinds of levels of restriction of what they can do. So that part is really, really nice. Their contacts really don't transfer to your mobile. When you want to get it on your mobile, you just download the app. You just go look at Zoho CRM on the in your app stores, and you download it and you log in with your username and password, and it automatically downloads stuff for you. You don't have to do anything. Now, groups, somebody asked about groups converting in Zoho. That's one of the few things that I cannot convert for you. I can bring it over in a field where you can still look up stuff. But the dynamic groups, that was like, show me everybody in Texas that has an email address. Those, if you created those kinds of groups, those groups have to be manually recreated in Zoho. There's no way to automatically create. If you want to know if Zoho integrates with anything that is like something that you just have to use, I would say go to Google and say Zoho, and then the name of the product, and then type in integration. And they integrate with a ton of people. And they have excellent what they call APIs, which is the ability for one web program to talk to another web program. So it is really nice. If you buy the enterprise version, then that comes with free live chat, which is you just start a chat window with a tech support guy. And to be honest, their chat guys are really, really great. I use them all the time, and I think they have excellent support. If you buy one of the other versions, a professional or standard, if you pay for it in a year at a time, then you also get the free chat. So that would be how they would handle their customer care. Somebody asked about how easy is the Zoho Books compared to QuickBooks. I think it's pretty easy. That's Mark that asked that. Mark, talk to Ginger about it. She's the one that she's converted a couple of QuickBooks. Well, she did Peachtree and QuickBooks. It's different, and accountants are going to say, well, no, I don't know QuickBooks. But our accountant didn't ever go into our QuickBooks, so I didn't really care what my accountant thought. I wanted what was easier for me on a daily basis. It doesn't have at this point in time a really good inventory capability, but it's not bad from every other standpoint. But you can certainly talk to Ginger about that. The cost for all of this, there are different models or versions. Again, you can if you just look up Zoho CRM pricing, if you Google that, you'll have the options. Most people, I would say our clients split between enterprise and professional. So the enterprise is going to give you more ability to restrict access to certain records or to share records, or it has more workflow capability. So there's a couple of things. If you really want to get to it, we can talk about specifics of whether you should choose one or the other. Again, if you pay for it by that year, you get a better price. If you want to integrate email, that takes you to the professional version. I have some nonprofits on the standard version, a couple of things, but if you go to if you go look up Zoho CRM pricing, it shows you the additions, and there'll be a long list of features that you can look at, and you can determine if any of those features are valuable to you. Somebody, Trish wants to know about what does the constant contact integration look like. You know, it's okay. I mean, it's just basically it's going to help you dynamically every night take all contacts that have an email address out of your Zoho CRM and send them over to Constant Contact. But the deal is that I really, really like the campaigns feature, because everything comes back into Zoho also. So when I send it out of campaigns, the Zoho part, then I know who clicked and I know who opened. And if I want to, I can send follow-up emails to everybody who didn't open. It's just, yeah, and with that version, the campaigns, if you have less than 2,000, you can get campaigns for free. They have a ton of free products. That's the thing, and you would think that that would be like they would go bankrupt by offering all these free things, but they actually do really well, and it's their philosophy that once people try the free, they'll like it so much that they'll want the additional features, and they're like not worried. They're like, well, you know, if they like it, they'll buy it. If they don't, they won't. You know, it's not a big thing for them. You can do so many things. And once you figure out that you don't have to pay somebody for tech support all the time, then you're free to spend that money to grow your business. And like, wow, I could be doing surveys with my clients. I mean, and, you know, there's part of surveys that's free. Or I could be doing, they've got an HR app that is really inexpensive, and it's a great way to keep track of your employees if you want to do something like that. There are a lot of options. Even the project-based app, like Microsoft Project, is so full-featured. Someone asked about how safe is their cloud. I think it's very safe. Their email particular cloud, they have an email package. It's one of the few apps that the NSA cannot break. They can't break the encoding of it. They have all different, if you're really concerned about internet security, they have what they call two-factor authentication, which makes it harder to log in. You can restrict it by IP address. You can change your password. There's a ton of things that you can do to even make it more secure. But keep in mind, the Sony breach a couple of months ago was not a web breach. It was a breach of their server on site. I think that you shouldn't worry about the cloud being safe for storing your data. I think also I think that I asked them one time, and they have 5 copies of everybody's database on different servers. So if one server should go down, they can switch to another server pretty quickly and be up and running almost immediately. So I think the cloud is pretty safe. I really appreciate your time, guys, and I hope it's something that you would be interested in. It's certainly something that has just really been a great thing for us. I just really have been so impressed with the product and love being on the web. We're switching all of our business over to the web. And I hope you have a really great week. Just let me know if there's anything you need, and actually I hope you have a really great summer.